Have you ever suddenly gone cold on someone, even when you actually liked them? You reply slower, you stop opening up, you cancel plans, you disappear for days. And when someone gets too emotionally close, you feel the urge to pull away. Not because you hate them, but because something inside you starts feeling uncomfortable. Maybe you even test people without realizing it. You become distant just to see who stays. You overthink texts. You assume people secretly want to leave. And the moment someone genuinely cares about you, your brain starts looking for reasons not to trust it. If this sounds familiar, psychology may explain why. Because people who push others away usually aren't heartless, and they usually don't enjoy being alone as much as people think.
In fact, many of them deeply want connection. They just don't feel safe inside it. And that difference changes everything. Picture this. You're a kid. You finally open up emotionally. Maybe you cry. Maybe you express fear. Maybe you need comfort. But instead of feeling understood, you feel ignored, or mocked, or dismissed. Stop being dramatic. You're too sensitive. You'll be fine. And this is where your brain quietly learns something dangerous. Being emotionally open does not feel safe.
So over time, you stop reaching. You stop depending. You stop trusting people with vulnerable parts of yourself. Not because you want to, because your brain adapts. Psychologists sometimes call this emotional self-protection. But honestly, it feels more like survival. And years later, that survival pattern starts affecting every relationship you have. It shows up in strange ways. You crave closeness, but panic when you actually get it. You want someone to understand you, but feel exposed when they do. You want love, but feel trapped when someone gets too attached. And this internal conflict exhausts people, especially because most of them don't even fully understand why they do it. But here's what most people miss. People who push others away are often hyper-aware of disappointment. They expect abandonment before it happens. So instead of risking being left, they leave emotionally first. Picture this. Someone starts caring about you deeply. At first, it feels good, safe, exciting. But then your brain slowly starts whispering things like, they'll eventually lose interest. You're getting too attached. Don't trust this too much. And suddenly, you start pulling away. Not because the relationship became bad, because it became important. And important things feel dangerous when you've been hurt before. It gets deeper. Some people learn very early that love can disappear suddenly.
A parent became emotionally distant. A friendship ended painfully. Someone betrayed your trust. Someone walked away unexpectedly. And once your brain experiences emotional loss hard enough, it starts trying to prevent future pain before it even happens. That's why some people become emotionally guarded. Not cold, guarded. There's a difference. Cold people don't care. Guarded people care too much. But here's where this becomes painful. Sometimes people who push others away secretly hope someone will fight to stay. They become distant, quiet, hard to read. And deep down, part of them is watching carefully. Will you leave too? Because pushing people away can become a test. A very unhealthy test, but a test nonetheless. And most people fail it without even realizing it existed. But that's not the only reason people push others away. Sometimes it comes from shame. This one is hidden deeper. Some people genuinely believe that if others knew the real version of them, they would leave. So they keep parts of themselves hidden. Their fears, their insecurities, their sadness, their past. And the closer someone gets, the more terrifying that exposure becomes. Because intimacy means being seen. And being seen feels dangerous when you spent years hiding parts of yourself just to survive. And then there's independence. A lot of people who push others away pride themselves on needing nobody. They handle problems alone, they struggle alone, they heal alone. And from the outside, they look strong.
But sometimes that strength was never a choice. Sometimes they became independent because depending on people failed them too many times. So now receiving help feels uncomfortable. Receiving love feels uncomfortable. Even receiving kindness can feel uncomfortable. Because deep down, their nervous system associates dependence with vulnerability. And vulnerability feels risky. Picture this. Someone asks, "Are you okay?" And instead of opening up, you instantly say, "Yeah, I'm fine." Even when you're falling apart, because explaining your emotions feels harder than carrying them silently. And after years of doing this, silence becomes automatic. But here's something most people never realize. People who push others away are often extremely emotional internally. They just learned not to show it openly. So while they seem distant on the outside, their mind is constantly overthinking, replaying conversations, analyzing tone changes, preparing for rejection before it even happens. And this is where relationships become complicated. Because the same person who wants reassurance often struggles accepting reassurance. You tell them, "I'm not leaving," but their brain says, "Not yet." That's how deep emotional fear can go. And social media made this even worse. Now people constantly compare relationships. Who texts more? Who cares more? Who leaves faster? Who replaces people faster? And people who already struggle trusting others become even more defensive. Because modern relationships often feel temporary, disposable, unstable. But here's the truth. Most people who push others away are not trying to hurt people. They're trying to protect themselves from pain they already know too well. The problem is, self-protection can slowly become self-sabotage. And eventually,
You end up creating the exact loneliness you were trying to avoid. That's the tragedy of it. The fear of abandonment sometimes causes abandonment. But healing begins when you realize something important. Not everyone is your past. Not everyone is planning to hurt you. Not every close connection ends painfully. And vulnerability is not weakness. It's risk. Yes, but it's also the only way real connection can exist. So if you push people away, it doesn't necessarily mean you're toxic or broken or incapable of love. It may simply mean your brain learned to survive by staying emotionally prepared for loss. But survival patterns that protected you in the past can quietly destroy your future relationships if you never question them. And maybe healing starts the moment you stop asking, "How do I avoid getting hurt?" and start asking, "How do I stop treating connection like danger?"